suspect that the Nuggets and the Sixers are going to be mostly at full strength, but we have questionable tags across the board. Do you agree with me that the superstars and the starters are going to be playing today? And I'm ultimately, am I just speculating here?
Yeah, this game, this is a typical NBA night right here. This game is wild. The Nuggets have listed their entire starting five as questionable. So we don't know if Jokic, Murray, Porter, Gordon, Caldwell Pope, we don't know if any of those guys are going to play. It's also the second game of a back-to-back set for the 76ers. Joel Embiid made his return from a knee injury yesterday. Nick Nurse says he expects him to play today. We don't know how that's actually going to – we don't know if that's actually going to take place or not. It's still early in the day. Right now, I would take the 76ers on the money line. I would pay the juice simply because they're 15-6 at home, and Nuggets are just 11-9 on the road. But this is one we're going to have to watch throughout the day because we don't know who's going to play for either team right now.
Yeah, and I wonder I wonder, Zach, if this line is going to fluctuate even more. I mean, because it's really been dancing, I think, between like 1 and 3.5. We're at 2.5 now at BetMGM. My gut is to take the Sixers as well. I trust that Embiid's going to play today. And I'm not in love with the Nuggets on the road here. What do you think in this one?
Yeah, for me, it's Embiid or nothing. You don't want part of the side or total with so many players from the Denver Nuggets questionable. They were all listed questionable yesterday. The whole entire starting five, as Mikey B was saying. So that leads me to think that at least three or four players will not play. You look at their weekend, they played in the back-to-back spot as well. The night game Saturday, the early midday game Sunday. So 3 games in 4 nights. This Nuggets team, you don't want to risk anything with the type of issues you've had with this team. Embiid back yesterday, looked fine. Go back to last year against the Nuggets, had that explosive game with 47 points. So for me, it's Embiid or nothing here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Monitor, obviously, the injury situation. But again, I think if you get a good money line price here, I think taking the Sixers now, I don't think that's a terrible move. All right, light the beam, Big Cheesy says. Anytime the Kings are playing, and I got to be honest, he might say it anytime the Kings aren't even playing. So shout out to Big Cheesy in the chat, Bradley Jacobs, Nicholas Edwards, Anderson Andrews, Spaghetti and Meatballs. We see y'all in there. Hit the like button if you can. We got the Kings at the Suns. The Suns -4.5. My gut tells me, Mikey B, and by the way, the total here, 244.5, pretty high total. My gut tells me just take the Suns here. But I don't know. The Sacramento Kings have been playing a little bit better lately. And so I don't know if 4.5 is just like a perfectly efficient number to get me to lay off of this one, but I do lean the Suns. Where do you lean on this one?
Yeah, I would lean the Suns too. The big thing we've got on the King side here is Keegan Murray is listed as questionable with a hip injury. That's a big absence for them if he doesn't play. The Suns are playing well with their big three healthy, Beal, Booker, and Durant. They're actually 7-3 over their last 10 games. I'd feel better about the Kings' chances of covering if Murray does play, but right now I would lean towards the Suns.
Ninja 13 says, only good thing in Philly now is the 76ers because the Eagles are a fraud, which you could have gotten from us yesterday because a lot of us were, including myself, were on the Buccaneers +3. That line was a mystery to me. 2.5, maybe 3 was an absolute gift. Zach Simony, where are we at on this Suns-Kings game?
I'm actually going to give out a side. This is one of my official plays, so I'm not going to say too much here. One aspect I would look at, Mike McClure likes to do this where you attack the first quarter. I would maybe look at the under in the first quarter because the Kings, with maybe not Keegan Murray tonight, they're going to have to adjust that starting lineup coming back from 2 road games on the East Coast where they lost both of those matchups, the heartbreaker in overtime with Dame Time, overtime game winner. Suns played at Portland on Sunday. So I would maybe look at the under first quarter before that scoring starts to pick up.
All right. Well, speaking of scoring picking up, let's go to a 236.5 point total. We got the Clippers at home. I mean, listen, the Clippers have been really impressive. It might have been, a week or two ago, Mikey B, where we had the Wednesday show with Tim Doyle, where me and Tim basically had to mea culpa, hey, this Clippers team is better than we thought they were going to be when James Harden joined. So I guess this team is for real. They're -6.5. I believe OKC, of course, they played the Lakers last night, and they're on a back-to-back here. This is a pretty aggressive line, but I don't hate it. Where are you at on this one, Mikey B?
So this line is moving more in the Clippers' favor, and the reasoning might be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a game-time decision yesterday with a knee injury. Now, he did play. He logged 34 minutes, but because he had that injury and it's the second game of back-to-back set, does he play or not? If he doesn't, then you really like the Clippers even at that big number. They're also 6-3 against the spread over their last 9 games. The Clippers are. So I think this all comes down to whether or not Gilgeous-Alexander plays. As of right now, I would lean towards the Clippers covering because I think he might sit out.
All right, Zach, before I get to you, I got to go to Mikey B here because, what I sense in your voice, and you're such a professional, so it's so subtle. It's the attorney in me, like the poker player in me, like kind of reading between the lines. I sense, it's only a 3-game slate, and yet we have so many question marks with who's going to play. I'm sensing a little frustration on your end. I'm just wondering, am I right about that, or am I just like reading into it way too heavy?
Yeah, I was digging through everything this morning, and I'll talk about this later when I make my picks too. There's not a lot to like at 10 a.m. Eastern time in the NBA because there's so many guys that are questionable. So this is a day where you might want to sit on your hands at least until mid-afternoon before you start locking in those NBA plays.
Yeah, certainly decent advice. I think sometimes you can take advantage of the unknown if you think you have a read on it, if you think you have a line on, no pun intended, on who's going to play and who doesn't, because maybe you'll get the better of the line. But in some cases, it really does seem like it's a 50-50 proposition. Zach Simony, Thunder at Clippers, Clippers minus 6.5, 236.5. What do you like in this one?
Here too, I would look at the full game under 236.5 with the Thunder playing in a back-to-back spot. I know they don't have to go anywhere being in LA, but that was a hard game yesterday. Back and forth. There was a lot of lead changes. They were kind of flat in terms of scoring, had 93 points, had that little run at the end that teams do when the game is over. But they struggled to score yesterday, back-to-back spot against a Clippers team that they were just awful in Sunday's matchup against the Timberwolves. You would have expected a better performance from them. Just couldn't get scoring going, 43% from the field, never really made a run at all. And they've played 5 of 7 road games. So I think they may be a little fatigued as well, even though they're on their home court. I'll look at the full game under 236.5.
David Talk says, how does the NBA get away with not saying who is playing and not playing? I mean, listen, that's just the state. That's just the state of the game at this point. It's what happens when you have an 82-game season, and stars do need to rest sometimes. But it probably does seem a bit overdone.